Hey guys, so I wanted to just take you on a little bit of an introduction video of myself, just to open up a little bit more about who I am, where I come from, and see if we have any things in common. I have a lot of friends that I have on this channel, so obviously some of you might know me already, but if any of you are new on here, welcome to my channel and thanks for watching. So my name is Layla Jade Rodriguez. My full name is kind of a mouthful, so I typically like to go by Layla or Layla Jade. I was born in 2002, so that makes me 23 this year. I just turned 23 in January, and I was born and raised in Tucson, Arizona, and I haven't left since. I grew up on a very small, like manufactured home on a property in a trailer ranch that's out kind of on the outskirts of Tucson. So I was all over the city. He wants to go to the park, so he's crying at me. Around a lot of horses and like cows and cattle, like herding cattle. So I was out in the desert a lot, and I grew up like horseback riding, running around with my dogs, and mainly hanging out with my siblings. I am the youngest out of five, so in a family of seven, it was always something to do. I started dancing when I was about 3 years old, doing like folklorico and tap dancing at a local recreational center in town. And at about 3 and 4, that's when I started going into studios and dancing in an actual studio environment. I started doing cheer programs when I was about 4 years old, and I really loved it. And about 6 or 7, I started doing horseback riding when I was younger and doing like rodeo shows and things like that. In Arizona, it's pretty big rodeo wise, so there's always a lot of stuff to get involved in. But I was just at like a local family conservatory with a bunch of horses that they raised and trained and held. And one of the horses that I mainly went with, my horse was named Willie. He was all white and he had a brown tail and a brown mane and like a brown patch on his eye, and he passed away in about 2010. I loved riding growing up. I did a lot of shows with them, but at the end of it, it was mainly a family ranch that we would just go out and spend time with family, and we lived really close by them, so we'd have like family parties and stuff. Crying at me. Can you stop crying, please? Come here, Will. Come sit with me. You want to come sit right here? You come sit with me while I film? But yeah, I really loved it growing up, and I don't do it anymore because I obviously haven't gotten on a horse in a really long time. But um, I do always love seeing horses and riding horses when I have the ability to. I just don't do them for shows anymore, mainly because of Willie. He holds such a special place in my heart that he was my first horse, and I never got to really keep him, so I was always sad about it. But I continued doing dance and cheer into like middle school and high school, and I still kind of kept up with everything. Here and there, I would do folklorico, I did ballet, I ended up doing tap dance and hip hop as well, and just took classes at the studio that I went to for about 10 to 15 years. I was at that studio, and I spent a lot of time just with my friends and performing and doing recital shows, which I honestly loved. When I was in middle school, I started doing cheer a little bit more with like leagues and teams. So I started out with the Tucson Redskins as a Pop Warner cheerleader in about like seventh or eighth grade. And then I continued doing cheer into high school and started at my high school team. I ended up trying out in freshman year, made it onto the junior varsity team, and then tried out again after the summer was over and made it onto varsity. And it was honestly so much fun. I spent 4 years on the varsity competitive team, so I was able to do sideline stuff and compete on a varsity level, which was such a special time for me personally. I met some of my best friends in cheer, and made some of my closest connections with the people that I had on my team and worked with. He found a bone, so he's occupied now a little bit, thankfully. Yeah, our coach was an older gay man, so he really never had to hold himself back from like saying how he felt, and specifically about how we were presenting ourselves and how we looked. So it made me really weirdly confident in what I did, because otherwise somebody was going to tell me I did something wrong, and I didn't care for it anyways. So I just did whatever I wanted. And in high school, it honestly started with like a spiral of me with some bad behavior. Like, I was partying a lot, I was sneaking out all the time, I was really never home, and I was making a lot of tough decisions that would just put me in really rough spots that did not have to happen in the first place. I would go to a lot of parties and not really know how to get home, so it was just a recipe for disaster on a lot of it. And I started doing that around 15, 16, so a lot of times it was me in a situation that I was way too young to be in, and just growing up way too fast. When I was growing up, my siblings, out of the five of us, I was the youngest, and the one that's right above me was a 4 year age difference. So I kind of felt like I had to be a little bit older a lot earlier, but it shouldn't have been that way, I don't think. Going into high school, that's when I started kind of figuring out my life, and with a mix of like partying really heavily and cheer and doing all of these things at once with a really big social life, it kind of made me understand that I didn't like that, if it made sense. Once I started getting into competitive cheerleading really heavily, we started doing like nationals and really heavy competitions. I was pushing myself past limits that were both mentally and physically draining, and I ended up having a couple of injuries, multiple injuries. The main and most significant injury is happening to my right knee. So I had two major incidents where it was bigger injuries than just like, oh, get back up and keep going. Moved in a really weird place that it was not supposed to be, and I never got it healed right either. Being 16, 17, I just was not proactive about my physical therapy, and at some point it got to a place where I was not able to really walk well and not comfortable like doing normal activities. That's as an accumulation of all of these injuries. Like, if you ask the people that I went to high school with, they will tell you that they probably know me by the girl with the brace on, because I had it on 24/7. He's still crying at me. He has a bone, so I don't know, whatever. um but yeah, all of those accumulations of injuries kind of wounded me up to losing an opportunity that I was really banking on. I was planning on getting a position with UCA staff and was in the process of auditioning and also going for cheerleading scholarships for college. And once I injured myself the second time, it was right before the competitive season of my senior year. So it was kind of like a lost cause, if you will. At that point, it was a little bit too late for me to rehab myself enough for competition, and then also make it a significant change in scouters' minds to be able to say that I was a confident athlete physically. So a lot of it was like a mix of a bad time. You need stop it right now. Come here. Stop it. You hush. It's a ladder. Shush. Get over here. Come here right now. It's a ladder. Leave it. You're fine. You need to leave it alone. That's kind of why I like to have TV on, because he gets like that. What was I even saying? Shush! You need to hush up. They're outside. They have nothing to do with you. Um, by the time competition rolled around, it was like February before I was going to graduate senior year. So it was really, really late in the game to be able to bring myself back to where I needed to be. And it kind of downfalled from there, I guess you could say. Um, I turned 18 in January, and I also started getting assaulted in January. COVID happened in March, so we stayed home until about the rest of the fucking year, basically. Yeah, so January was hard. Yeah. I turned 18 in January, and March, that's when spring break happened. We couldn't come back from spring break, so we just stayed home. And then in about April, no, May of 2020, I got my first job at Amazon, and it stopped happening once I met my boyfriend, um, who I'm now with of 5 years. We've been together ever since. I became really close friends with him, and he made a really big impact on me mentally. And I started bringing him around, and he noticed that things were not right and put an end to everything pretty quickly once he saw what was happening. Um, I had to stop working at Amazon, and we've been together ever since. I mean, I stopped living with my parents. At the end of that year, we moved in with his sister and started kind of saving up for our own place. So, in about February of 2022, we did take a little bit of a break and were broken up for about a month. I moved out and went back to my parents' house, which was a lot. And I ended up living there for about a year while we got back together in March. He also ended up moving back to his parents' house, and the apartment fell through. So that was a really rough time for us. All three of us, we were all living together, so it was just a lot. We were kind of working on our relationship getting back stronger, and I was at my parents' house, so um, I was working and still doing cheer, and then we moved into our apartment together in February of 2022. Yeah, yeah, that's what it was. I keep forgetting the times. It's making me lose my fucking neurodivergence. Like, do you see this? Um, yeah, February of 2022, we ended up getting our own place together, and we had I think it was a 9 month lease or an 8 month lease. No, it was a 12-month lease. We renewed again February of 2023, and then we had to re-renew for an 18-month lease that's due up in August. So yeah, we it was a lot. And then we adopted him from Pack back in October. So he's been with us for about 4 or 5 months now, and he's 9 months now. So he's been such a blessing, but obviously he's needy. Yeah, he is super great. I'm not working right now. Um, all I'm doing is just trying to become a full time content creator, but I'm also trying to work on my music. I'm putting a lot more investment into my fitness and my wellness, mentally and physically, just all the way around, trying to become more grounded with myself, I think. I'm also trying to develop my music career and really push myself to put myself out there musically and creatively. I've had a lot of insecurities when it's come to putting myself out there musically, and I've always been involved with music. In elementary school, I started in the fourth grade playing the trumpet, and then in middle school, I kept going and started playing the French horn in about seventh grade. And then I kind of kept going into high school a little bit, marching band, and started playing tenor sax, but I didn't really keep going past sophomore year. But I've always been musically inclined. I've always loved music and loved creating music. Specifically, singing is my favorite form of music. I haven't played the trumpet in years, but I really want to get back to playing music. It's just so difficult to play in an apartment. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Who is playing a trumpet right now? Anywhere. But yeah, I am trying to write and sing just a lot more. I'm developing my own sound and really trying to work on that. So I will try to bring you guys along as much as I can. As much as I do, I will be bringing you along for motivation. Um, but yeah, I plan to graduate for May in 2025, and we're taking a trip to DC for my graduation ceremonies, and then a small trip to New York from there to celebrate for a few days. So I'm super excited for that. Um, I think a lot of my goals and aspirations come from music and my idols in music, and always just trying to be the most creative I can be and be seen and heard, I think was such a big thing for me. So now that I'm trying to put myself out there, it's really refreshing to see all of the support that I've gotten through with just being myself on social media, and I love it. um, Music in specific, I'm working right now with a couple of producers and writers and mixers and engineers that just are really creative and amazing minds that I'm really excited to keep working with. And I'm really hoping to just network with more music individuals and people that want to create more productions. I would love to work on things just for the fuck of it. Like, I love messing around with sounds. um my dream I wrote down like a little like bullet point list of what I want to talk about, and I think one of the things that I would like to share is what my dream life looks like, because it's a little bit delusional. My dream ideal life is to have like a house on a farm or with a farm. In some capacity, I would like for there to be a farm somewhere along the lines of a farm and what that would look like, with all of my dogs and my family as close as I can possibly have them, with my bigger property, and have that as like a mainstay where I can make music and hopefully make a career of a professional like pop star. I don't know if that's the word for it, or professional recording artist, I think is what it actually is. I would love for that to be my main stream of income, and to get paid for my creativity would be a blessing, because I love creating things. So to be able to make that like a job that I would be good at is kind of wild to me. Um, and I think somewhere in that I would like to have kids, but I'm not sure where. I'm just, it's so, when it comes to kids, it's a whole nother beast for me. Like, I can't even begin to think or whatever. But yeah, somewhere in that, I would like to see my friends and my close ones just traveling with me. I would love to travel more and try to see as much of the world as I possibly can with the people that I love. So I would love to do some like girls' trips and be able to take my friends with me on like my concerts and performing opportunities, just so they can see a little bit of that world. And I would love to include a lot of like my friends, like my dance friends and my cheer girls, in the productions that I make. So I would mainly be looking for like local or talent, if that makes sense, to my heart, um, to be able to be on projects with me, because I think that's something that would be so beautiful, is to spend my dream with the people that I love. Um, I already have two backup dancers in line for my first major tour. My best friends, Alina and Carmen, are like first on my audition roster, and they are going to be choreographing, performing, and also coordinating the show with me. So stay tuned for the trio. Um, I cannot wait to share that with them. If that's something that I can be able to do, that is my biggest dream, is to just spend my dream with the people I love, go on shows and go on tour and go traveling in different countries and performing with my dog and my boyfriend. I would just love for that to be my life, is to share it with my friends and my family. I would love for my house to also be directly next door to my parents' house because I cannot live without my mother. I don't care what anybody. I She's right next to me. She's coming with me. It's always like, oh, I want to travel and get away from my parents, blah 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 blah. No, my mom is in the house next door to me. Okay, she's living in my basement. I don't give a damn. We're going to make a family compound and it's just us two. Just us two. Yeah, for music and how I want to get there is I mainly am going to start posting more videos on my channel and make a playlist of cover videos, but I'm also trying to work on my debut album and my demo as of right now, so that way I can be able to travel and do more performing opportunities locally if I can. And I would also really love to produce my own music and mix everything. So I'm also trying to work with different productive creatives, I guess, in the industry that know a little bit more than I do to hopefully collaborate and make a team and network with more people. And I think part of that is using my friends and using my family and using all of the people that already support me to make me that much better in my life. And I also would love to share that with you guys. I love social media and the support that I've gotten on here, and I would love to bring you guys along with me. A little bit about what I want my channel to be is mainly bringing you guys along for the ride. I mean, I do not know what I'm doing in any way, shape, or form. I have bits and pieces of the skills that I've learned along the way, but ultimately I am completely lost. So I hope that this relates to anybody else that feels completely lost, because I feel like we're all at different stages in our life where no matter what age you are, like, you're gonna be figuring things out. You're gonna have to work around certain issues and really dig deep into yourself to be able to figure out your life. And I think that's one of the hardest things that we have to do as humans is figure ourselves out. Figure out what we want to do, figure out what our passions are, figure out what drives us, all while figuring out what we're doing and how we're doing it. So, if I can make some friends and bring my besties along with me to figure out what the fuck I'm doing, I would love to bring you guys along on my life journey and hopefully cross paths with some other life journeys that are on the same path as mine, because we need it. We just need it. um, but yeah, if there's anything that you guys have questions about or comments about, leave me some questions in the comments below and I will do a Q&A video at some point. Um, I would also love to do a little bit of like a collaboration. So if there's anything that you guys have ideas on that you would like to see in my life that I'm doing, but if you'd like to see it, I'll post it. Because thank you guys so much for watching and listening to my deep dark tale. I'm sorry that it got a little serious, but I love you guys so much and thank you guys for watching.